Friends, today I'll be talking about an event I attended today. The event I attended was very enlightening. It was very enriching and fortifying because the event was all about food processing industry in India and how the food processing industry in India will do in the digital era. And we talked about big data, a lot of insights came along, and I was actually mesmerized by a few of the data details which were talked about by the speakers. So I'll be talking about those aspects. To start with, the event was celebrated and the inaugural speech was given by the Union Minister of Commerce Industry, Mr. Suresh Prabhu. He touched base on food of thought quotes, and he talked about that the event should be celebrated by eating. So we had a very good lunch, and the event was held at Ficci, and the event was all about Ficci World Food India 2018. So a lot was talked on technology issues, how technology is going to change in the Industry 4 era, and how different eras are going to evolve. So we are going to see Industry 5 era, 6, 7, 8. And one sector which will always dominate is, or one vertical which will always be there, food. Roti Kapra Makan was the one of the talks by one of the speakers. So yes, the food industry will survive in whichever era we are. However, the change is inevitable. So a lot of discussion was done on those aspects. So we are coming up. India is coming up with a new industrial policy, which is third of its kind in India, to identify sector growth in the current era. So the changes would be there, and there are redundancies. Some technologies are redundant and new technology will take over in the food processing sector. A lot of innovations would be done in the near future to combat the pointers such as increasing the shelf life of the food product, and how the produce can be saved, how the produce can be used, and multiple products can be put on the shelf, put on the market shelves. So the shelf life study would be one important factor. The other important factors which were discussed is what kind of data should be taken into consideration, or the benchmark for the data should be taken into consideration. So food constitutes a major income source in India, what we discussed, or what the discussion was all about, since the income is rising in India. A lot of innovative food, fusion foods are being developed in India. A very good example I'll talk about is Onuk Hause. So Onuk Hause is a dish which is based on besan and coconut. The dish is originated from Burma, so India is influenced by the culture which is around India. So you will see people are actually appreciating this new palette for Onuk House, because coconut is already there, and the concept of besan, generally we use it in bread pakoras or samosas in North India. However, the concept of Onuk House and other dishes is being appreciated. So a lot can be done to innovate new products. The food is being processed in a way which can be consumed in an easy manner, because right now everybody is working. So the income level in India is increasing, the sector is going to grow, and the need of the hour is food habit is changing. I just talk about how things have changed from 1980s to 1990s to 2000. There was a time in school children used to take bread and jam. Today new processed food like French fries, hash brown. These are the products which are being replaced by what was traditional in nature. So the nature of food will change in India, and to keep in demand, new innovative food processing techniques have to be developed. So what the conference talked about, and it touched base upon very, very important issues in the horticulture sector and in the agriculture sector. An apple a day keeps a doctor away. There was a time where apple was only available for a month or two, but nowadays apple is available 365 days. So new processes are being developed, the land is being developed in a way the cultivation can be done. So what was the pain point? I'll identify the pain point here and what can be the solution. So pain point for identified, and what I personally feel, coming from a food background, food technology has to be integrated with the patent technology, has to be integrated with the food laws, and then in a holistic approach you have to combat this wastage issue. So more processed foods have to be emerged, more innovation has to take place, and regulatory guidelines should be there, so that when we talk about XYZ chemical is there in the food and it is leading to XYZ gene change in the body, so those aspects have to be identified. And a very important factor which was talked about is India per se is trying to use the European standard or the model or whatever uh, studies they have done in particular area. But we should understand India is a country of 29 countries. In India, the food habit of what we eat in North India is totally different from South India. South India is different from East India and West India. So if we talk about there's so many countries in a small shell, what is important is what I felt was during the session was these studies have to be conducted state-wise. The consensus was it is a protein-rich country or it's a carbohydrate-rich country, whereby what kind of malnutrition is there in a particular state is more important. Because if you talk about in West Bengal, it's a protein-rich state where a lot of people take in protein intake is more. And if you talk about North India, Delhi per se, the potato intake is more. So it is a carbohydrate-based diet. So we need to understand the diet of different people in different states and then do the studies and analyze what is best for them. I think it's not only the study group should not only be, XYZ male and female, but state-wise studies have to be done so that we are able to come up with pain points and we identify the pointers which are important to understand and cater to the factor of malnutrition. Malnutrition is a disease in India, and how to cater that, and what are the states in which it is affected more, and in those states what can be grown easily. Because see, the understanding or the simple understanding of food is the horticulture and the agriculture produce. So the agriculture produce in a particular state, if it can be utilized in the same state itself, we would be saving time in the travel. So when we save time in the travel of the produce, the cost would be less, and we would be able to address to the main problems. So I think this is one suggestion I have, that what needs to be done is to analyze everything at a state level and then imply and then implement methods so that what can be grown in that particular soil. I'm sure the technologies which we have in the current era would be able to do it in the shortest possible amount of time. So we have a lot of opportunity in the manufacturing industry. There's a positive impact and there's a downstream activity. Now, what is the export which can be seen in the near future is there's a $1 trillion economy waiting for us where the export can be done from India. There is a market, and the agri export strategy which was discussed was very interesting, and it was an eye opener for me also, being a food technologist. Food, obviously, being a foodie is everybody in India is a foodie, and how the agri export strategy would be implemented, that will be very interesting to see. Because anyhow the value addition factor would be there, and when there is value addition, it creates job, it will create more opportunities. So not only the produce or the products, the personal products which people consume in India, as I said, the lifestyle, the eating style, the habits of North Indian is different from South Indian, and somebody who stays in Mumbai has a different way of eating food, and somebody staying in West Bengal has a different way of eating food. So yes, one aspect is manufacturing products, the produce which can be exported, and the NRIs who are living in other countries can utilize it. And a very good aspect which was discussed was the cultural integrity is intact in people who are settled abroad. Yes, when we stay in India, we evolve and we are more into having Italian food, we are more into having Japanese food. But people who have left India, they want to keep the integrity intact in terms of the culture they lived at one point of time. So to keep that integrity intact or to enjoy the benefits, they consume the products or the produce of India. That is one thing. The other aspect which was discussed was manufacturing food for the palate of people across the globe. Say, for example, if you talk about Japan, how about manufacturing sushis, or how about manufacturing other products which are Korean based? What kind of food products which can be manufactured and we can increase the shelf life, and then we can export it. So that is something which needs to be taken into consideration. So there's a lot of opportunity. I personally feel there's a lot of opportunity in the food sector, and marine products, tuna based products. India has a coastline, and there's a lot of fish varieties which are there in India, and how those fish varieties can be utilized to develop different kind of marine products. So it can be this. It can be in the form of the staple diet food also. So when we talk about food, the policy support is the value addition. The government emphasize on the fact that yes, we can help you out with the regulatory aspect, but what is needed from the corporate sector or the private sector is to have the intent of solving or resolving the issues. The strategy should be there. Very good point which was pointed out was on the subsidiary. What happens is you launch something, and as a private player I just go and say, okay, I want subsidiary, but that is not the need of the hour. The need of the hour is to develop innovative techniques so the subsidiary part doesn't come into picture. What is important is the regulation part, the safety aspect, and the other parameters, so that we in a holistic approach can grow. It means the government has to work in consortium with the public and private sector people. And I'm very very happy with my results. And if you want to see what kind of work I do, you can just review my LinkedIn recommendations. You will understand the kind of work I've been doing with patent attorneys across the globe. And if you have any questions related to how to identify the pain points in your business, I also help in the strategizing part of business in by analyzing data. See, the data analysis, there is no rule of law which talks about how to analyze data. It's more of hit and trial method. What is important is to understand all the parameters. It's just like when you talk to a data scientist, you need to tell him or her, like she's a doctor, and to come up with a solution, what to do with this data, how to enrich the data, how to fortify the data as a need of the hour. So I would be happy to do that. If you have any questions, put your questions in the comment box below. I'm prity.khastgir, founder CEO of TCIS India. I look forward working with you guys in the near future. Have a great day ahead. Bye bye.